What's good, everybody? Welcome
Yeah.
into Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. I'm Harrison
Shit.
Sanford. You've been catching Danny a couple of places recently. He's been on FanDuel TV. What is the name of the show with you and Michelle Beadle and Lou Williams?
Run It Back.
Run It Back. Yes, indeed.
They got a guy that I don't know who was rhyming on it or rapping on it. They have their own little instrumental or intro, and I don't know who's rapping on it. It's like one of the studio guys, his son or something like that. It's a random, but it's a catchy tune, and he's run it up, run it back. I think it's something like that. So
you've been putting in that work, waking up. What is it, 6 o'clock Pacific time to get?
I'm there at 6 a.m. usually. I'm waking up at 5 something to get there by 6:15 in the morning. So we can run through some stuff, and then we're on air at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, for those who want to tune in.
Yeah. For somebody like myself who was recently coming off working, doing an 8 a.m. morning show, having to wake up 5:30 in the morning. I will say this. As much as I hated it every time I had to go to bed, forced to go to bed early, or how much I hated getting out of the bed very early, once you get the job done, once you're done, it feels so good to be done with work at 10 a.m., bro.
Have the rest of your day. Crazy waking up at 5:30 for 8 a.m. show. It's wild.
Yeah.
I'm waking up 5:30 for a 7 a.m. Or get there.
Because I would have a 6 a.m. No, I would have a 6:30 a.m. meeting. A pre-show meeting. Yeah. But go ahead.
Same for us. But it is amazing when you're done. But I have also learned doesn't matter what time you go to sleep. It could be early, it could be late. It doesn't matter. There is no feeling good at that time of waking up.
No, never.
You can go to sleep at 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock. That alarm comes so fast at 5 in the morning. It doesn't matter what time you go to sleep, and you're forever tired. But when you are done, you can take whatever naps you have the rest of the day to yourself. So it is delightful.
It is. No, it's a very, very good feeling, especially during this time of year where the sun is down by 5 p.m. You're already outside, getting as much sunlight as possible. I know I'm speaking to a lot of people who probably do the 9 to 5 thing or even do the work from home thing. Actually, I know we got to talk about basketball at some point, but I will say this though, Danny, this time of year, as much as it's nice to feel inside, I must say I feel for the work from home people because you're not forced to go outside. And when you don't have to go outside, you don't have to deal with, you don't get the sun that you really should be getting. You know what I'm trying to say?
For sure.
Maybe I'm just saying this because I'm in New York City right now and I'm going through a vitamin D deficiency right now.
Yeah,
I think I need some sun.
Definitely. And I was in Philly, and it's really nice here. There's a big difference in energy and weather, and you're missing out on a lot of the world when you're not stepping outside where you feel you are. But you definitely need that fresh air. You need the vitamins. It helps
even if it's 10 degrees outside,
man. So when you're on the East Coast, you're inside a lot more, especially if you have kids. You're not ever stepping outside, and it's weird once you do step outside, which it shouldn't feel weird. When you're in California, you're always outside because the weather's always nice. So I'm glad I got a little refresher and get a chance to visit home and be here for a couple of days. But then I'll head back to Philly in another day or two.
I'm going through this period where I'm going through some travel very soon. And I find myself very anxious to get to some warm weather. I will be in Hawaii next weekend though for my birthday. So I am looking forward to that. All right, let's talk about some basketball. Why don't we? We're going to talk about 5 teams that should potentially make a trade in the very near future because of how they're playing right now. But of course, we have to start by talking about the in-season tournament. Danny, I don't know about you, but I think it's a success. I don't care what happens in the championship game or the quarterfinal game, but it's all so far a success. Your thoughts?
That's me being Adam Silver cooking in the kitchen because he definitely cooked up a good. I don't know if you didn't see the memes. We talked about it on Running Back, but the I guess gravitational pull of the fans for this tournament, or just the reception and how the playoff-like atmosphere for some of these other cities, and the guys how they're competing, how hard they're playing, and something to win for, to try to get more money has been a lot of fun too. But just seeing the reception of the fan base and other fan bases, because usually right now it's football. Most people lock in on football. But because this is going on, the football fans are now paying attention to basketball as well. They usually don't lock in to basketball until after the Super Bowl is over. When you have this in-season tournament, it's given it a new, refreshing energy during the regular season. I said Adam Silver, he cooked up a good one with this one. So it's been fun to watch, been fun to track, and hopefully we'll see who comes out on top. And I think it'll only get better as the years come along.
Yeah. If this is the first year, it is definitely only going to get better. Just let's just get rid of the courts. We don't need the courts. Nobody
No,
needs to
no.
see. No, don't
Just
say it.
change
Don't
them.
say it.
We just change them. You need the courts because you need people to know when it's end season tournament. They don't have to be that bright, but we
They
can
have,
change the courts
yeah.
to be a little different. They don't have to have
Just
the
more,
trophy in the
maybe a
middle.
decal, maybe a decal. That's it.
Nah,
Or
nah,
maybe just the trophy in the middle. That's it. No other not crazy colorways
nah.
going horizontally. Don't need all that.
I like colorways, but some of them are just too much. Some of them I did like though. So keep the court so people know it's end season tournament time.
Looking forward to watching it. When we have the episode next week, we'll review everything that happened in it. Danny will give his MVP and all that type of stuff, and we'll have to give our final impressions. But I do want to talk about one player who's still left in it, LeBron James. After beating the Phoenix Suns on Tuesday night, he was quoted as saying, as it pertains to Father Time, they say that it's undefeated. He's just trying to give it one loss or something to those effects. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, damn, like I never thought about because Father Time technically could fight forever, right? Because it's Father Time.
What defines beating Father Time, right?
Yeah, what exactly would be an L on Father Time's record? How do we quantify that? How do we classify that? So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what would Father Time taking an L actually be like as it pertains to LeBron.
I think for any player, playing 20 years the same level or efficiently as you've been playing is a win against Father Time for any player. And some guys have beat Father Time for a pretty good amount of time. I've seen Timmy do it. I've seen Tony Amano. I've seen some other guys do it, but
so
not
Father Time.
21.
So you're saying Father Time never beat Tim Duncan?
I don't know, man.
It's not offensive to say it, and there's nothing wrong with saying Father Time beat Tim Duncan.
No, I don't think he did. I think he did 4 years of college, and he played 19, 20 seasons in the league. That's a lot of.
So he got to win.
Even in his last year, it wasn't like he was averaging single digits. You know, he was still playing efficiently. I think LeBron has already got to win against Father Time, in my opinion. But I think for him, his definition of beating Father Time is to play with Bronny and still play at the level he's playing at right now, which I think he's very capable.
So not just playing with Bronny, but playing at a very comparable level.
Yeah, his 20 plus, 6 and 7 or whatever it may be what he's doing. But he's already, in my mind, he's already beat Father Time because he's 39 years old. He's been playing for 21 seasons and he's averaging 20 plus points, 6, 7, 7, 8, however you want to put it. We've never seen this before. So he's doing something we've never seen before in his 21st year. So in my opinion, he's already beat Father Time. But I think in his mind is he wants to play for as long as he can play and still play at that level. And I think all he wants to do is get 1 year with Bronny and then he'll call it quits. And if he plays at that level, he defeated Father Time.
I'm over here. I'm multitasking, listening to
give me your
thoughts. But my mind also had to go, but my curiosity had to go back and find Tim Duncan's final year in the season. 2015, 2016, 61 games played, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 58% from the field. What is that stat? And this is, and 1.5 blocks. I mean, after, yes, and he coming into lead at 97, 98. So obviously he played for a long time, but
what was his points?
8.6 points. The year before, it was 13 points, 9 rebounds. The year before that, 15 and 9, 17 and 10, 15 and 9, 13 and 9. So almost a double-double. Pretty much.
Starter. I think
he was still starts. Yeah, no, obviously still a very impactful player. Yes. I mean,
back then, the 8 is more like 12, 13 now.
Yeah, more possessions. Faster game. Yeah,
it's
for sure.
Way different. You look at the MVP numbers of Steph when he first and D Rose, like there was like 23, 24 points. Now
MVP is like 31.
Yeah, so you got to add another 4 or 5 points.
It's true.
To those points from
fair points
from then to 10 years ago. So 8.6 is like 12, 13 points. Today's game.
Yeah, that's fair. That's 100% fair.
And a starter.
Yeah,
7 rebounds too. 2 blocks.
Oh no. Okay, so he beat. Okay, so in your opinion, he beat Father Time.
Yes,
as it pertains to
What is your definition of beating Father Time? Or you don't think anybody can beat Father Time? He's undefeated.
I mean, technically, Father Time keeps playing, right? So like
He plays as long as you play.
father time, yeah, and then eventually you stop playing,
But that's your
right?
decision to
Like
stop playing.
yes, okay, yes. So in order to be father time, it has to be your decision, and you have to be at your athletic peak. It can't be. It has to be like
It can't be more than half. Like if you're half diminished of yourself, that's when I think you're defeated. If you're more than half of yourself, physically and performance wise and impact wise, then I think you lose
yeah.
to Father Time.
Well, either way, it looks like LeBron is doing it. And I would say he
Mhm.
definitely has a win over Father Time. If he manages to even, if it's even conceivable that the fact that it's conceivable that he could play with Bronny and the fact that it's legit a strong possibility. I
I
would say
thought there was
over
no
50,
shot, but right
over,
now,
I would say over 75% chance, no, over 60% chance he actually gets to play with Bronny.
yeah, which is crazy because I thought there was no shot when he said that. What 2 years
Well,
ago? He said it a year or two ago, and I was like, that means he has to play another 2 more years. I was like, there's no way. But the way he looks this year, I'm like, oh man, you're gonna make me eat my words. It's looking very strong
right?
case. It's like a 70 to 80% chance in my mind right now. If he stays fresh, mind just only 20 games. We'll see game 70. But if he stays like this, he's for sure he's a high percent, 70, 80% chance of playing with Bronny.
Yeah, I was happy to hear as it there's two sides to this story though, right? Like Brownie also has to make it to the league. So I will say
For
this:
sure.
I am happy to hear that it looks like he'll be getting back on the court sooner than
Mm-hmm.
later. I think it's been rumored that it'll be Sunday. He'll make his debut for USC, and that would be the day after the potential of the championship game
It's
of
the
the
day of
in-season
the championship
tournament.
game.
No, the day before is the day after.
Okay.
In-season
And
tournament
so
final is
is
on Saturday.
the championship game's on Saturday.
Championship game, yeah, they're not messing with the NFL Sunday. NFL knows better
Mm-hmm.
than that. So
So
and it's pretty smart. Now that I think about it, ooh, that's what
USC
they
and the league
did.
probably had some type of scheduling of knowing.
Nah, it was real. No, I didn't think about this. So college football Saturday, like if you're the NFL, you don't even want. If you're the NBA, you don't even want to battle college football Saturdays because it's a
Mm-hmm.
big deal. But this is
Mm-hmm.
the first weekend with no college football games because the conference tournaments were just. Yep, Adam was cooking. Yes, he was. Okay. It all makes sense now. Games on Tuesdays and Fridays strategically when you don't have NFL to battle with. You have the semifinal games on the first Saturday that there's no college football. Well done. Well done. You guys should watch the YouTube
That
video to
boy in
see
the kitchen, boy.
Danny's
That boy in
move.
the kitchen. That boy in the kitchen, boy. Like
Yes.
the show you recommended.
Yes. Oh, speaking of shows, have you started watching Fargo yet?
No. I'm a big I have to catch I haven't been watching TV as much as I would like to now that I have a little one. I'm a big Godzilla fan. For those who don't know, the new is one out right now I want to see in theater. And there's a TV series called Monarch about all the Titans. So I'm kind of on that, but it's going slow.
About
So
all the Titans.
the Titans are all the monsters that Godzilla consists of and he fights basically. All the big animals that roam the earth during his
You know
time.
what's you know
King
what's
Kong,
crazy?
Godzilla, Ghidorah, Rodan, all those guys were called Titans.
We're gonna have to go to break soon, but you know what's crazy? I have absolutely no idea
I'm not
what
shocked
the
actually about this.
what the backstory is of Godzilla or King Kong. They're just big
I'm I,
bears
I'm
that
not
roam New
shocked.
York City
Big
to me.
bears. That's Rome, New
I
York
have
City.
no
So
idea.
Godzilla started in China actually, and there was nuclear reaction. So it's like Godzilla was a lizard. Nuclear reaction made him grow to be bigger than he was
Maybe
supposed to
no,
be.
don't spoil it. Maybe I'll watch Godzilla.
You'll never
Maybe
watch it.
give me the best Godzilla movie. Is there a good Godzilla? Is there a good Godzilla movie?
There's a
A
bunch of
good
them.
King Kong movie?
A bunch of them. Skull Island. There's a bunch of them. They remake Godzilla every 5 to 10 years. There's like different storyline, like different sets of Godzilla, like every 10 to 20 years.
Just like Batman.
Yeah,
That's crazy. The New Orleans Pelicans, looking at their roster, looking at their standing in the rankings, it could be time that they make a move. We'll talk about them and some other teams when we come back after the break. Welcome back to Inside the Green Room with
sure.
Danny Green. I'm Harrison Sanford. You guys already know the vibes. However, this week we're going to switch it up. Usually we do try to do the pick and roll here, but it's becoming that time of the year where you could really start to evaluate teams and potentially see them being real NBA title contenders. I want to mention 5 teams that could make a trade right now that could potentially push them a little bit closer to getting the Larry O'Brien by the end of the season. And Danny is going to rank them in order of they should make a trade all the way to the team that should not, or the least forced to make a trade out of the bunch. All right, we'll give you number 1, Danny. Number 1 team that I think should make a move, the New Orleans Pelicans. And I'll tell you why in a moment. Here's the players that they could potentially trade in a deal. Herbert Jones, Trey Murphy, Najee Marshall, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Jordan Hawkins. You're not trading these guys, but those are players that I'm looking at because that's a lot of wings, Danny. And I don't think they don't need all of those wings in order to be the best version of themselves. Again, Herbert Jones, Trey Murphy, Najee Marshall, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Jordan Hawkins, and obviously Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson are already big-time moneymakers in terms of salary. So you can't dedicate too much salary to that position with those guys already being there. Okay, the next team, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Right now, a top 3 team in the Western Conference. Who knows how long that lasts? Rest assured, they got a squad over there, and they're definitely on the younger side with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, J-Dub. They could potentially, Danny, trade for a 3-and-D player and maybe get them a little bit playoff ready. Get a player that can guard the LeBrons of the world. Get a player that could potentially guard, a Luka Doncic of the world.
So
Then
you have the defensive and veteran leadership is what you're looking for.
Yeah, that wouldn't hurt. But obviously they're still young. They don't need to do anything, especially with all the draft picks that they have in their arsenal. The Orlando Magic, probably the biggest shock of the NBA season so far. Top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. They could just say, we'll roll with what we got, or they could look at their point guard slot and say, maybe we can trade some of our assets and actually get a real starting point guard, depending on how much they believe in their young rookie. I don't need to explain the 76ers too much because we all understand the situation with the 76ers and all the assets they got in the James Harden deal. And then, Danny, a team that you played on, the Cleveland Cavaliers, right now, out of the playoff race in the Eastern Conference, really haven't gotten their footing as it stands right now. And there's always going to be this big question, Danny, about Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Can they actually coexist on an NBA title team, considering the fact that both of them are not 3-point shooters? So those are the 5 teams. I'll say them one more time. Pelicans, Oklahoma City Thunder, Orlando Magic, 76ers, and the Cavaliers. Out of those 5 teams, who absolutely needs to make a trade? Number 1.
I'm going to go backwards. I think the least likely that needs to make a trade is Philly. Then I'm going to put OKC at number. I think there's 5 teams or 6 teams.
Give me the teams. So you're going backwards.
It's 5 teams or 6 teams. You have 6 teams. So I'm putting Philly at 5, and I'm putting OKC at 4. I think
that's interesting.
I think number 1 would be New Orleans Pelicans. I think there's too inconsistent, and they have so many wings. So I think they need to make a trade to get them, push them right where they need to be in the contention, and not have to be worried about the play-in, and make sure they're in the playoffs and actually can give other teams a run and get out of the first round. They can sneak somebody and win. Other 2 teams.
Let's talk about the Pelicans real quick. I think I know what I would do if I was a general manager and I was looking at that roster. If I was the Pelicans, I'm curious what you would do if you were to. I named 6, 7 wings. They're like, that's not feasible, especially when they're that talented to retain all of them. So what would you do?
PI is a good 3. I would use some of those wings to get a DeMar DeRozan or somebody like that if you could. If you want to,
interesting.
That gives you a little more consistency on the offensive end. I feel like they do have some good shooting, but I would not let go of Trey Murphy. I think he's too intricate. I think he's he's very well rounded and a good potential star player in our league. I think he'd be very good for them. But the other guys, I think, are not.
I like Herb Jones too, though.
I like Jordan Hawkins, but I just said they're not untouchable. That's all I'm saying. So if you get a guy like a DeMar, I'm not saying necessarily it would be DeMar, but if you can get a guy like that, if you get another star player that can come in and give you some consistent, a different refresh on the offensive end, because they always have injuries with CJ, or if you wanted another solid, real point guard, that's something I would look at as well. if you can find that, which is tough to do in this league. That's just a pure point guard that can facilitate and set the tone.
That's what I had on my list. If I was to trade one of those wings, I'd want a pure point guard.
CJ is a point guard, but he's not he's more of a scoring two guard. Most of in Portland, he's more of a two, and he naturally more of a two guard, shooting guard. But he is playing the point guard. He can play the point guard, but I would like to have him off the ball some bill to just score as well. So I would get a pure point guard, or let's say another star wing, or another, like, combine those and get one stable good wing and 3-and-D wing guy to go with Trey Murphy and to make that a lethal.
And BI and Zion. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
Oof. They have when they're healthy, they pose a lot of problems, and when they're healthy, it also enables them to take that team to another level via trade, which could be another problem for the Western Conference and the NBA. We'll see how they handle it there in New Orleans. I love the potential of this roster, not just what they are, but what they could be.
Yes, and the other two teams.
Yes, let me give number two.
Cleveland Cavaliers, and you said the Orlando Magic. I'm gonna go with Cleveland Cavaliers, man. They're just not living up to the expectation that we thought. That the signings they made some great moves this offseason. You thought they were going to be really good. For some reason, they're taking some hits and some bad losses. The one against Portland was tough. They've lost more games, and the coexistence of Evan Mobley, and now they're looking at also not just that, the coexistence of Darius and Donovan. Like, now you have two groups of guys that you're like, does this make sense? They're both scoring smaller guards in that backcourt, which kind of gives you some your defensive liability in that situation. You have two small guards. It's hard to be, especially
with Max Strus at the three.
You're smaller, backcourt at this when you have those guys in the lineup. Your front court is oversized. They can't shoot as well. Like, you have to mix it up some way somehow. But I'm not saying those four guys need to go. But I think we need to find the right pieces. I thought Strus was a good piece. I thought George was too. But you have to change the lineup some, and you got to find some more depth. Either that, or find another star that you can package the guys that you feel don't work together, and then either keep two of them. And it's either Donovan and Evan, or Darius and Jared, however you want to do it, or at least keep three of them. You know what I'm saying? One of those guys would have to go, and then you figure it out and get another star, another bigger wing player, and go that route. But I think they're at number two in a team that needs to make a trade. So number one is New Orleans, New Orleans Pelicans, and then actually I might have put Cleveland at number one. Because I think New Orleans.
Yeah, if you think about it,
Cleveland needs it more than New Orleans does, because New Orleans we didn't have the expectation from them to do well. They're doing better than they did last year, and then they're living. All other teams Orlando's higher than we expected. Cleveland's the only team that's not exceeding or playing at the expectation we thought they would, and they're below that. I think they're in need of a trade more than anybody. So they're number one. New Orleans number two. Orlando Magic number three. Number four would be the Thunder. And then number five would be the Sixers.
Now, I find that I'm on pace with you with that list. I had the Cavaliers towards the bottom two, but when you think about the expectation that they got to get to, and the big, I don't think people wonder if New Orleans is going to work. I think the question is, will they be healthy? And then we could evaluate. Yes, I think with the Cavs, even though they don't have too much proof of concept, but they've only been together 1 year, right? The core of this team. Mm-hmm. Even still, I think you look at it and you say to yourself, I don't think that's going to work. Like Mobley and Jared Allen, and then to your point, you could also look at the backcourt. So maybe the Cavs should be number one in a team that should make a trade. Number two, the Pelicans. Here's what shocked me. I thought you would have definitely put, if you put Cavs one, I thought the 76ers wouldn't be last on your list. Why are they not? How did they become last? Considering the assets they have.
They have a lot of assets. I just don't think it's a need for them. I think they should. Not only the fact that I'm biased, because I think it would open up a situation for me to be able to come back and play there. But I think out of those five teams, they're the least in need of a trade, because they're already a top three team in my eyes in the East. They're winning games, top 3 or 4. They're already in the playoffs, and they can be contenders with the group they have. The other 4 teams actually need something to get them either solidified in the playoffs or playoff contention. However, Philly is just they're in the playoffs. I have contention. Now they're not serious contenders. They're on the brink of contention with their group, but they're definitely a top 4 team in the East and making the playoffs with the group they have already.
Fair enough.
Those other 4 teams are not.
Well,
Okay, see, they're
Well,
top four. They're in the playoffs, but I
oh,
don't know if they're a top four
yes,
team. But
gotcha.
that's why they're the number five. That's why they're number five.
Yeah. And fortunately for them, they do have time to kind of wait it out as well,
For sure.
because they are so young, and they do have a number of their players under contract, and they have all those assets. They could take their time. I think the Magic, I I don't believe in the Magic. They're gonna have to show
But they're
me. And
exceeding expectations. So
for sure, yes.
they're not
Until
in panic
then,
mode. They're not in panic mode. That's why they're number three on the list. They're right in the middle.
fair enough. Fair enough. And then as you mentioned, the Pelicans number two, because you never know. And then number one being the Cleveland Cavaliers. I didn't think the segment would go that way with the Cavaliers being number one, but it makes all the sense in the world. We'll see what happens with them. When we come back from the break, gonna update you on the story that I revealed last week, and we'll have our parting words. Be right back. Danny, I've lost faith in the humankind. I have lost. I
I
don't
don't know why
know.
you had so much faith to begin with living in New York. And just knowing, listen, when you read social media, you see what's going on in our
Hold
world, the
on.
new
Keep
generations,
Danny.
how
I can hear
crazy are
you.
the
Hold on.
TikToks.
Hold on, Danny. I can hear.
People, it's getting crazier. The world's getting crazier. They're so delusional. They're so untrustworthy.
I can keep. You can keep going. I can hear you. I'm gonna go grab the items.
Okay, so
Oh,
that
you. Yeah.
people can
Yeah, but
see
I
why
can
you're
see.
untrustworthy. Okay, so yes, I don't know why you had so much faith to begin with in the human race today. The human race today is very untrustworthy, and they're doing extreme things just to get noticed, notified, and to be relevant for no reason. Some of it is great, there's advantages to it, but a lot of it's making people crazier. They're doing the most outlandish things, and they can get away with the most outlandish things because
Outlandish.
of it. They can lie, they can scam. There's people even admitting to scamming people online and how they do it. One guy was saying he scammed a doctor 200 times, or something crazy like that over 2 years, and drained him of his account, lost his marriage, and all types of stuff. So people go through extreme lengths to scam you. And you live in New
Sad.
York,
Sad.
the
Yeah.
hustle state of America, like the biggest
Yeah. The
hustler state in
hustle.
America.
Yeah.
You learn this as a kid when you're in New York. Don't trust nobody. Don't
Yo.
tell nobody. You learn this. And some people just genuinely they're charismatic. They're good at what they do.
Yeah.
And then just got
So
you.
yeah.
So give us a story.
Yeah. And so I mentioned the story briefly on the show last week because we had to go. I'll try and recap it one more time, and I'll give you the conclusion of it. But essentially what happened middle of the day in New York City, the Lower East Side portion of New York City, not Times Square where the hustlers roam, not anywhere that's tourist central, in the middle of the middle of downtown Manhattan, Lower East Side, was approached by a car. The man said he was in desperate need of money. I gave him money that was already on my hand, already in my pockets. Feeling bad for his circumstance, he said he lost his ID, wasn't from the country, and had to drive down to go to the consulate to get a new ID. And I said to myself, what would I do if I lost my ID in a foreign country? I guess I would have to go to the consulate, I guess. I don't know. So I gave him the money out of my hand. The guy then proceeded to do a number of things to try to persuade me to give him more money. One, he wanted to pray with me. I don't. We're not the same religion, but if the guy feels like praying, I thought it must mean something to him. He also then offered me the ring off of his hand, showing to me that I don't really care about money. I don't care about material things. I just need the money to get home and get a new ID. So he gives me a ring. And I'm like, all right, man, I'm sorry for what's happening with you right now, but there's not too much more I can give you. Well, then he continues to continue to tell me his story. He then he does some other things that were like very that drew my attention, drew my hair. He started praying with me. Then he did a gesture where he kissed my forehand, and I'm saying to myself, I don't know what length I wouldn't go to these lengths for a couple of dollars off somebody. Like, no, there's no way.
Gave you some more jewelry, gave you some chains.
Yeah. So then he started to then give me chains off of his body. He said, I don't want these. You can have them. I just need as much money as you can give me. Oh, by the way, he had his younger brother in the car with him and saying that they need to drive down to Florida to the consulate to get a new ID. And they needed food and gas and maybe and money for a hotel.
It gives you
And
the
so I say,
watch.
so sir, I can't do anything else for you. Then he continues to talk to me. He shows me his bank. He shows me on his phone, an app that shows how much money he has in the bank. It said over $300,000. And now after this guy's giving me jewelry, he's prayed with me. He's kissed my forehand, and now he shows me an app that shows over $300,000 in the bank. I'm like, damn, I guess this is how I would act too if I was in a foreign country. I lost my ID and I just needed cash on hand. I had no wallet. I had no bank cards. I've given you everything I got on my body, and hopefully I can get enough cash. And so he tops it off with this, which, as you could see, if I put it closer to the camera, is a Rolex.
Yeah.
I gave him money, and I said, at the very least, if this, but by the time I left, the guy said, here, give me your phone. Let me put in my number. I'm going to call you now. So you have my number so that when I finally make it safe, I can contact you. We could catch up. And maybe I come back to New York City. You show me around the city. I didn't get to experience it as much. Okay. I give him money, and then he disappears. I can't call. I call him, no response. I text him, no response. Mind you, I made sure I had his number before I left him that day. I saw my phone number come up in his phone, and vice versa. So I go down to the Diamond District with our producer Amjad on Monday night, because I haven't heard from the guy, and I said, at the very least, what I can do to get some of my money back, if not all of my money back, is just trade this stuff in, right? Even if it's not worth as much as it could potentially be worth, even if it's not $20,000 worth of jewelry or something like that, it's got to be worth a couple $100 or something.
Mm-hmm. What is that? $70? This is worth $5.
I walked into the jeweler. I didn't even bother to show him the chains. Didn't even bother to show them the ring. I said, I want to see how much this is worth. The guy's words, Danny, worthless.
Can I get $20 for it? What about these chains? I would ask them.
Yo, he said,
going back to your story, worthless. Going back to your story, I don't think if any of us were in a bind would be acting like that anyway. You would not be acting like that. He was overdoing it. And if he had all that jewelry that was supposed to be real, I'd go to the pawn shop. If you really would, I would have went somewhere. You would have sold your jewelry somewhere else. You don't go to a stranger in the street. Lesson learned. Hey, you got all this jewelry, you don't care about it? Go sell it. I'm not a pawn shop. I can't help you. Excuse my language, viewers, but
that's what I should have said.
We figure it out. You got phones, you got ID on your phones. Google, you go somewhere else. You'll sell your jewelry. If you're not gonna sell your jewelry, your real jewelry, or give it away to a guy that gives you a couple $100. That does not make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just don't have pawn shops in the country where he was from. But Danny,
couple $100, I'm not getting a Rolex for that. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
Yeah.
So
all of the praying,
he was good.
Bro, the fact here's the thing that pisses me off now. The fact that he after he conned me, right? After I got hustled, which I hate to say the fact that I got hustled. Yeah. After I got hustled, he could have, as soon as I gave him the money, he could have peeled off. When he committed to the bit. He said, here, take my number. Let's make sure we have each other's number. And then he offers to drive me home. Come on, son.
It's a very, very expensive Uber ride. But hey, lesson learned.
Come on. That is like, okay, you hustled me.
This is why you need to watch more TV. You probably didn't see Inventing Anna or Tinder Swindler. These people are great. Man.
I haven't seen these.
Add them to your list. This is why you got swindled. Tinder Swindler. They're very charismatic people. They know how to commit to some and get you to persuade you to do something stupid. Well, at least you got a ride. It'll get back to you, though. It'll come back to you. In good faith, good health. You know, you did some good, kind thing for somebody else. I mean, it'll come back to you. That's all we can think of.
I told producer Andre, I was like, yo, his ribs must have been touching. This is a desperate move to go to these lengths.
He was overacting, and that would have given me a fishy sign if he's doing all of that to show me. You proving I have all this means you don't have it.
Yeah,
but hey,
that is true. You learn lessons learned. With that being said, y'all, during this holiday season, don't get hustled. Just listen to the Inside the Green Room podcast and watch
and
the
homie,
NBA.
if you're watching,
keep your ass
Muhammad,
inside.
What's his name?
See, I don't even know if that's his name. He put his name as Mustafa Ali in my phone.
Well, happy holidays.
Is that actually
Mustafa.
his name?
Probably not. But if you're watching this or listening to this, you bastard, happy holidays and keep the change, you filthy animal.
Well played. Thank you. That was a good way. That's a good way to send it off. And with that, happy holidays, you filthy animals. We'll see y'all next week.
Read, subscribe, rate, review. You know what to do.